If you get that call at 8 o'clock in the morning of the client you took out yesterday, you know. I always say agents are the only people that love to give people a sleepless night. Because if I gave you a sleepless night, you were fitting in furniture, thinking what you want to change, is your dog going to be fine, is your family going to be fine, you couldn't sleep and wait for 8 o'clock so you can phone me and say, I want the house, send the papers. So I love that early morning call when we know this house spoke to someone. And it's such a privilege to be part of that process and such a delicate dance. So I want to, there we go. Negotiation is not instinct, it's something that we learn. You can see it with your kids, right? My boys negotiate everything. And they're constantly testing what the push and pull is, where I will budge, what I will allow, what I won't allow. So we negotiate in everyday life. But in business, when we negotiate, we must empower ourselves with knowledge and research. It doesn't just happen. And the more knowledge and research you have, the more confidence you have in this process. So this is the moment where you bring your buyer and your seller together, and I call it the point of equal unhappiness. And I tell people that. I tell them when I list, I set the expectation. And people say, what is equal unhappiness? It's that point where the seller thinks he's getting a little bit less for his house than he really wanted. The buyer thinks they're paying a little bit too much, and I must get you to that point where you're equally unhappy, because that is the win-win. Then, if we look at the foundations of negotiation, negotiation is not confrontation. This is very important. It's not confrontation, it's facilitating decision making, and every transaction sits at the intersection of that. So it's a major financial commitment for people. There's strong emotions, there's time pressure, there's fear of loss both on the buyer and the seller side. And the agent who negotiates well understands that people are not only reacting to numbers, they are reacting to uncertainty. There is a lot of things people must think of. It's a change of life decision for them. And you get to facilitate that. And I think one of the most important things in negotiation is you must take your emotions out of it. The more you're not attached to the outcome, the more you take your emotions out of it, the easier it is to negotiate. And this is hard, right? Because if this deal doesn't come through, you can't pay your bills at the end of the month. So we are emotionally attached. But I always tell my buyers and my sellers, just remember, this is my job. This is what I do. For me, this is my paycheck. For you, this is a life decision. And I don't take that lightly. You go, you make the decisions, you make your calculations, and you need to be comfortable at the end of the day. And I say these things to people when I negotiate because I want them to know that my objective is always to make sure we do the best for the buyer and the seller so that it's a win-win. And not me. Take me out of the equation. I'm just the person mediating this. And I think if we take on that attitude, the negotiation becomes easier because we don't bring our emotions in, we don't get worked up and involved in this. So for foundations of negotiation, can I ask you something? Can this be on here too or not?
Yes, it's just transmitting from here to the side.
But this, can it be on here too or not? This?
I don't know.
Or is it open there?
No, it's open there. It's extended. Do you want to duplicate it?
Hey?
Do you want to duplicate it?
I'm going to just open it here because now I'm doing this the whole time to check my keywords. Where if it's here, I think it will just be a little bit of a better flow. Sorry for breaking there. That would be amazing. I remember my first offer to purchase. I started in real estate when I was about 19, 20. My mom was in real estate and she was working for a developer. And it was an M&T contract. Thank you. It was only two or three pages long. You want to move this a little bit? 2 or 3 pages long. But I was so inexperienced and so young. I used to tell the whole story and then inside go, please don't ask for paperwork, please don't ask for paperwork, because I wasn't comfortable with it. And be comfortable with your processes and your tools and your support system so that you can always present with confidence. Because your negotiation requires preparation, not just confidence. If you know your contract, if you know your numbers, if you know exactly what is going on, your buyer and your seller's pain points, then it makes your negotiation easier because the knowledge you have reduces the emotion for you and for your client. Your calm sets the tone for the transaction, and most negotiations end in equal unhappiness, and that is success. Let me tell a little bit of a story of one of my recent negotiations. I've sold 3 properties in the seller's family already. We had a place in the market, 2.4, sold at full price, subject to that didn't work out. Started remarketing it again this year, and we very quickly saw that our 2.4 was now be over-marketed. And I said to her, we need to adjust now. We've been in the market for 2 months. We need to go to 225. Put the price down. She also opened up the mandate because that is what happens, you know. You work so hard, you value it 225, and then just at the point where they drop the price, they open the mandate. But now I'm on a mission because I want to sell a third property for her. I get a beautiful buyer, they love the place. The seller disclosure says the roof in the garage has leaked before. She had it repaired, but she's happy if the buyer would like to send out someone to climb on the roof and do their own inspection. And up until that point, it hadn't been an issue. The garage hadn't leaked again. But in January, we had that massive hailstorm. So you can see there's a little bit of leaking again. So my buyer said, it hasn't leaked, but you know, we had heavy rain. Please send someone. And then I make it a suspensive condition in my offer to purchase that they can cancel and I have to send out an expert and accept by X date. So they send someone out. They realize it's a gutter problem. We need to move the gutter. The water is not draining fast enough. Not a major issue, solvable problem. Happy. But then the roof guy also picked up. It's those, you know, those little flat slate tiles that are on the side of the house. It's a double story. Some of those tiles are coming loose and they might fall off. They've got a little daughter, so they're very worried about the danger and the hazard that causes. And that's a $6,500 problem. Now my buyer is upset because she feels the seller didn't disclose it. My seller's been living in Stillbrook since December. So I said, no. My seller didn't disclose it because she didn't know. Therefore, she said, send out an expert to come and climb on the roof. But now I have a very analytical husband, a very relaxed wife that works for a developer and understands the industry a little bit, and now they're starting to get cold feet. I'm sick with a tummy bug. They're trying to phone me the whole day. I'm like, please, I can't take calls, just WhatsApp and email me. So the whole afternoon I'm on WhatsApp and email with them. And I go to the seller and she says, listen, I'm not spending any more money on this property. We've got a lot of inquiries now, other agents got people that want to make offers. They must take it as it is. Are you going to lose a 2.250 rand deal over 6,500 rand? But what happens when this happens? If the seller is not accommodating to the buyer feels that it is unfair and it creates doubt. So that process of how quickly you deal with it and bring them back on the same page makes or breaks the deal. So I said to her, listen, we're not going to lose an otherwise perfect deal with very well qualified buyers. Let's do this. You pay a third, I'll pay a third, and the buyers can pay a third of the work that we need to do. So my other agent says to me the next day, why are you paying for this? And I said, I understand what you mean, but this is a client that I've been doing business with for more than 10 years. Every time she needs to sell a property, she phones me, or anyone in her family, or any of her friends. I don't mind paying 2,000 rand for this deal to work out and everybody to come back on the same page. Then I chatted to my business partner, he's like, great, 6,500 rand on a 120,000 rand commission. It's not a problem. Let's just pay it and everyone must just sign and go on with the deals. Because the repeat business we're going to get from this is big. And phoning the buyer and saying, listen, we chatted about this, we're just going to pay the money. please, if there's anything else you're worried about, let's go ahead. But then the buyer, the husband, was still worried. Because now what else is wrong in the property? If we didn't know this, what else don't we know? Just because there's something wrong with the roof, and you have now said you accept the roof it is, just if something else comes out, you can still claim against it. Doesn't take away that right. But come, bring someone else, have a look again. He brought someone else, looked again, spent another night sleeping over it. I actually left them at the property and I said, walk as it's empty. Walk through, take your time. I'm not going to hover around because then you feel rushed and I'm looking over your shoulder. The helper was there to clean. I said, she will lock up. And just leaving them, giving them that space to process, think about it a little bit, recognizing he's analytical, letting him sleep over it. The next morning he phoned and he said, okay, no problem, we're happy to go on. So we need to meet those objections in such a delicate way and read our sellers and read our buyers so that you have a very gentle push and pull between the two. Then you are the buffer between that emotion and the decision the whole time and the protector of that momentum. And when this thing got out of hand, everyone started getting quite upset with each other. And I just stood back and I said, let me just take a deep breath. Because my emotional state to get at home wasn't what it was supposed to be. And I wrote out a nice email and the seller sent me a message and she says, Mareka, this is why I love working with you. You always stay so calm and collected in every situation. And that is what people want to feel from you when you negotiate. They can smell your desperation. They can pick up if they feel you're not trustworthy. And the more you respect that, the better the negotiation goes. So now before we go on, I want to ask you my favorite question, and if you have been in my training before, I really hope that you can answer this. But tell me, in your area, in your farming area, how is the market? I'm a seller. I'm standing at a Brian, I'm asking you, you want to impress me? I've got a house that I want to sell. Come on. Who's strong in their farming area? You guys can tell me.
Wow, Ms. Mareki, thank you for calling the Orchard and recently started doing proclamation here. So if you were a seller and you want to sell your house, obviously I would go into the conversation of why you want to sell your house first, trying to understand what are the principles that make you want to leave the house. Is it a divorce? Is it distress? You cannot afford it anymore? What's happening in your life? And if you are moving, how close are you to the moving date? So how serious are you in moving it, and how bad you want it gone? So that actually creates the foundation of how then you're going to approach, how I'm going to approach you. So for somebody who I tailor my conversations to what the person says. So to someone who, they just want to move and, they want to be found better property, it's not really distress, it's not a divorce, it's nothing of that sort, then I would start asking them what they love about their property, why they want to leave it. So that would actually get me to know how close or attached this person is to their property as well. It also creates the precedent of how I'm going to price counsel them, because sometimes you get owners who are very attached and they want their 5 million no matter what, and then you get the ones who don't know anything. So also scoping around their knowledge. So how can I impart my knowledge onto them with the little bit of knowledge that I have?
I love it.
That's what I do.
How long have you been in the industry?
Less than a year.
You have got a natural feel for it, if I had to guess. Because the first thing you did, I'm asking how's the market, and you didn't really tell me how the market is. But what you immediately did is you built trust. And you showed me that you care. Why are you asking how's the market? Where are you going? Have you thought about this? Why are you moving? And that is the reason people do business with us, is trust. So immediately, if you can build that trust, you can have everything else. Go have a look at it. I look at a lot of online training, and my partner sent me a video the other day. You can do everything else. All the listing presentations, all the bells and whistles, know all the numbers. If people don't trust you, they don't hire you. They hire people they trust. And that is how you do it. Why are you moving? Show them you care and what it looks like for them and what the pain points are that you need to meet. So I absolutely love Love that answer. But I also want you to know the numbers in your area, because maybe you're going to start off by building rapport, by telling your seller that I have a lot of knowledge, and that is how you can also trust me. So in my farming area, which is Garsfontein, we started last year at the beginning of the year on Property 24 with 210 listings in the market. Every time you do a market analysis, you go onto Property 24, you put the area in. It tells you how many properties is in the market in total. So that is where I get the information from. Just Property 24 and using it in a clever way. Then, Mr. Seller, slowly throughout last year, the stock declined in Garsfontein. By the end of the year, we were at 145 listings in total, the lowest I've seen it since COVID, which means there's not a lot of competition. It's a good time to sell. January, we started with 110 listings. So my strategy at the moment, we've gone up to about 130, is I'm phoning my previous clients that I know might move sometime soon, going, I know you want to sell downscale. Can I just bring a few buyers? Because the market is so competitive at the moment, we can push the price a little bit. This is a good time to climb in and get the price that you want and see if we can get it. We can see our stocks climbing. In 2 months' time, the market conditions are not going to look the same. And then you're going to have missed that window of opportunity of the low stock that we have in the area at the moment. So that's the little things you can pick up just by knowing numbers in your area. The other thing that we got from that is we didn't have a great sales year last year, okay? I'm not going to lie, we started a new business, laid a lot of foundation, hired people, and just got a lot of structures in place. And Adele, my other agent, said to me, you know, Marika, don't be so hard on yourself. You yourself say the whole time stock is insanely low, so you can't expect yourself to get certain numbers if the stock is so low. And I said, Adele, you're just trying to make me feel better about myself, because although the stock is low, the sales are not. We still had an average of 300 sales for the year, which we always have. So if my competitors are still doing the sales, although the stock is low, I should be doing them too. So thank you for being motivated and trying to make me feel better, but I know my numbers. And I know there's a lot more that we can do in the market at the moment. And know what that looks like, because it's important for your business and it's important for your seller and for your buyer. If you can just interpret these statistics a little bit. I do a nice session on how's the market. I don't know if Michael's got it. Then I must send it to her as well, so that you learn how to interpret all those statistics, because to me it was one of the most valuable things that I learned in real estate, just to be able to verbalize those numbers and statistics, because that knowledge and that confidence that you get with it makes you stand out after every agent that comes in after you, because no one else is going to know those statistics as well. So know how the market is. Then negotiate your mandate. Negotiation doesn't start at offer to purchase, it starts at mandate, because now we're negotiating the price already, we're setting the expectation, we're negotiating our commission, and we are setting all those expectations. And if we don't do it right, we're going to have uphill for the rest of our transaction. We're going to be banging our head against the wall. So before you list, know what the average days on the market is for properties. Know what numbers, the number of competing listings in the market. So I'll put in Garsfontein, I'll see there's 145 listings, then I'll say full titles, I'll see, okay, there's 60 full titles. Of the 60 full titles, how many are priced over 2 million? 26. How many are priced over 3 million? 2. Mr. Seller, thank you for showing me your beautiful 3 million rand house. Only 10 properties a year selling Garsfontein over 10 million, although our ceiling price is lifted from 3 to 3.2 million. Those sales are still at the high end of the market. A lot of the time it's businesses. It's not a business, it's a very neat, completely renovated property. If you want me to market at 3 million, you still have old bathrooms, although you have space. Tell me what you think, what does your property have that compares it to these other 3.2 million listings? Let them answer those questions, and then they'll go and you'll show them the other listings in the market, and they'll realize themselves, my property doesn't compare to this. And it's fine, I can put you at the 3.3 mark. You can go in there because you're not in a hurry and you want to test the market. What are you going to do? You're going to help all these properties sell before yours sells. Because this, I give them 10 listings. Where do you want to position yourself? How long do you want this to take? Because this is what a buyer is looking at. And this is what a buyer is comparing it to. My job is not to make the market. I just interpret the market. And I must clearly inform you what it looks like, what the environment looks like that you can go into, so that you decide where you want to position yourself. And then I also prep them for price counseling and mandate. Because I call that price the opportunistic price. We all want to try a little bit higher and see if we can get that price. So we can do that, but we're going to do it for 5 to 7 days. Because if I put your property in the market and I don't get any inquiries in this market, on average my listings go into market and I get 20 to 30 inquiries within the first week. If I don't get that on your property, I know we're at least 10% overpriced. If I get buyers through your property and I'm taking 20, 30 buyers through and I'm not getting offers, it means we're at least still 5% overpriced. So we're going to list at this price. This is our timeline. I'm going to phone you on Friday the 13th of February and I'm going to say, remember this conversation, can we price drop? Because we are not getting the feedback we are expecting to get in this market. Then when you get to the price counseling, it's easy because you prep it at mandate stage. And then if you're still not getting the feedback, you set the expectation. This is where we price counsel, this is where we price counsel and adjust so that they expect that call. We do the same with our renovations. So my business partner just flips and renovates. And he now started renovating for other people. So when he gets to the property and he quotes us to do a full renovation, he says to them, 5 to 6 weeks into this project, you are going to be frustrated. This place is going to be dust. You are going to have decision fatigue from everything that you need to do and organize and decide. And you are going to get irritated with my team. You are going to tell me my dad is late, my brother is full of nonsense, my worker this. When that happens, remember this conversation because it's a normal part of the process and of renovation to get frustrated. Now, 5, 6 weeks into a renovation, we don't have disgruntled clients anymore. They get disgruntled, and he phones them and he says, remember I said this is going to be part of the process. Oh, yes. Okay, go have a coffee, on, relax, take a deep breath. Tomorrow is another day, we're going to do this. So setting that expectation with the negotiation at mandate stage makes everything else smoother. So know the rest of the stats, the sales included in a year in your area, the trends, are they rising, are they flat? What is the difference between list price and market price? Yes.
So we are negotiating the mandate and we're trying to sort out the price. Now I have a seller in his tier park. They have renovated their home and it's gorgeous. They've added lithium, electricity, things at the back. So now they have calculated all of their renovations and taking this, single-story home into a double-story and what they've invested in the electricity, due to the electricity shortage that we used to have. So they're adding all of that. And he says, well, on top of the selling price, I have invested 1.8 million. So, and you're telling me that in my area, I cannot go above 2 million. So what are we going to do now? So they've now listed, and you are showing them as well, because in my presentations, I usually go into Property 24, show them properties similar to this, and, as you say, tell them, okay, this is what we have in the market, and this is the same information that the buyer is going to be looking at.
Yes.
For your 5-bedroom house, you want to list it at maybe that 4 million. Right, but there is a property in a better area now.
In an estate property.
Yes. Now I'm also using that as well. But they say, well, locally, in my street or in my area, my house is the best. And my neighbor, when they say my neighbor sold for 2 million.
How long have they had the property?
They've had it for a long time. There was a family home. So now the son is taking it from the mom, and it's this thing where even when I'm negotiating my commission, it's not just oh yes, he has to take it back to the family. So there's a lot of moving
Decision makers, yeah. So Unfortunately, Mr. Seller, some things, areas have ceiling prices, and certain things make your property worth more because a lot of the time people do maintenance and they think doing basic maintenance is going to shoot up the price because they had to pay 100,000 towards the electricity. Some things make your property worth more, some things make your property more sellable. You have done a lot of renovations and changes that make it way more sellable because compared to other properties it stands out, but it doesn't necessarily make it worth more. And it's always applicable with things like swimming pools, air cons, expensive tiles. Unfortunately, you have aligned yourself with properties in estates and with certain other attributes that you're now competing with. And I can sell it for you at this price, or try, but when the bank comes out to value it, the bank looks at these same statistics, and they look at their risk. So, I don't make the market, I interpret the market. This is what it is, this is what it looks like. You must decide where you want to align yourself. And I'm going to put it in here, which is crazy unheard of in this area, but I sell properties. You're asking me to just list your property, put it on the market and help it sell everything else. And I know what I'm saying is probably making you uncomfortable. It's because I'm speaking the truth. The rest of the agents are going to come here, they're going to take photos, they're going to promise you the sun, the moon and the stars, and we're not going to sell it. I'm sitting with a developer like that now, trying to sell a 120 square meter townhouse in my area for 1.75 million. Now, you can buy direct for that price. The other one that I sold was 1.3 million, that compares. It is more than 500,000 overpriced. He keeps asking me, what's the feedback? I'm like, this is too expensive. It's too expensive. It's down from 1.9, okay, to 1.750. And he just goes, then it does sit, because they buy cash, they renovate cash, so if it sits, but the sad reality is, and that listing I literally took and left it on my books because at the time, my business partner said, what other listings do you have? Because I said, I don't want this listing, and I don't want to put my name on this overpriced listing. How many other listings do you have? Okay, not more than 10. Okay, then you have no choice, then you list it. And I think that was one of the most motivating things he did for me last year. Because I got up and I was so irritated because he's right. I don't have to spend my time, effort, and space in my brain for this overpriced listing I know I'm not going to sell. So I started listing so hard because I want to be picky about the listings that I take. I don't want to take the places that are 500,000 rand. I'd rather look for another motivated seller that's realistic and tell them when you're ready to actually sell it, phone me. And they do. Because initially I didn't take the listing. I only took it when you brought the price down. Because we all know we're wasting our time and our resources, and as much as it just lies there, once a week it takes space in my brain to think I must give feedback, nothing's happening, oh my gosh, it irritates you a little bit. So, your market knowledge that you have creates trust and authority. If you know these things and these details, your seller trusts you. He can hear you know what you're talking about. He's paying you a lot of money. He's trusting you with one of his biggest assets. So have that knowledge that goes behind it. Then on seller motivation and qualification, you've already touched on this, and it was perfect. I was thinking for myself, that's exactly this slide. Why is the seller moving? Find out what the motivators are. If you don't know what the motivators are, how are you supposed to negotiate? And how are you supposed to know if motivation is possible? How is negotiation? How is negotiation possible if we've got 6 family members fighting about who's going to sell it? No, guys, sign a resolution, put someone in charge of this, get on the same page. We cannot sell your biggest asset like this. And don't be attached to the outcome. Sometimes you're going to lose that listing, but you're going to gain a lot of time that you didn't waste. To have the discernment to know when to jump in and when to say, maybe this is not the right space for me right now. You need to know how flexible your seller can be and how quickly they can make decisions. If it's divorce, distress, departure, death, then you know there's motivation here, we have to sell, and we are in a stronger negotiation position later. And you do that by asking these questions. But why are you selling now? How's the market? Why are you asking? Are you thinking of selling? Do you need a change? I see you have a baby on the way. Is it bigger space that you need? What happens if the property does not sell by the target date? I love that question because it's a way of seeing how motivated they are, how urgent they are. So you've given me a 3-month mandate. What happens if we don't sell it by the end of May? No, then we just take it out of the market and, we're rather going to let grandma move in here and not put it in retirement. Or they'll say, no, it has to sell because I start my new job in Cape Town in July and I want to settle in. So it gives you a timeline indication. And with that listing, the motivation is right. So even if it's a little overpriced at the beginning, I know your motivation and your timeline, and I can then work with that strategically to guide you. When are you moving? When do you want to be there? And then this is my favorite question. When I bring you a good offer tomorrow, are you ready to accept? Because it's the strangest thing. People put their house on the market, they get it ready, they sign the mandate, you have viewings, and then when you put that offer in front of them, it's like they get the fright of their life because then it becomes real. And then they go, I have to pack, I have to move, I have to find a school, I have to... And then they spiral, and then sometimes they just go, whoa, actually we're not ready for this. And they only have that moment once you bring them the paperwork. So prep them for that emotion and that feeling at mandate stage. Because Mr. Seller, your house is priced right. This is not going to take 3 months. I'm telling you now, I'm going to sell your house in 2 to 4 weeks. And I want to know if I bring you an offer, if you're ready to sign. And then try and find out if there are financial pressures that you need to be aware of. This is difficult, but there's things you can pick up. If the seller doesn't want to send you the rate account, I don't listen if you don't send me the rate account, because I say, Mr. Seller, I have to figure you. And once I'm in the market and I have a serious buyer, they're going to ask me for a rate account, for a levy statement. And if I can't give that to them, I lose time, I lose momentum, and we lose the negotiation. They still don't send it. Then I phone and I say, listen, are you in arrears on your Tawny account? I'm going to say it as it is, because a lot of the time that's why people don't want to send it to me. And if that is the case, I've got solutions for that problem. And we can overcome it, but you need to tell me so that I know how to work with it. A lot of sellers in this market is in that position. So it's nothing, that we can't solve. We can arrange bridging against the deal. Ask these things straightforward sometimes if you pick up there's something. Because if you avoid them now, you have problems later. A lot of problems, because then you realize that account is 6 months in arrear. And we're selling at a big loss. And we need to sign an acknowledgement of debt. And now it is a crisis. And we don't know if we're going to make it work. So if you know these things beforehand, you know where those negotiation spaces lie. The trust is the main reason the seller gives you a mandate. He doesn't want you to know it's in arrears because he doesn't want you to think he's desperate. So you must make sure that even though there's financial issues or pain points or urgent timelines, they know you are not going to tell buyers they are desperate, they are in a hurry. I tell them divorces can be the worst sales. And then if people ask me why you're selling, I just tell them you're moving to something smaller. I tell them I'm going to tell the buyers that. Because I say buyers are going to ask me, I want you to know that I'm here to protect your best interest. So I'm telling people you're moving to something smaller. So that the sellers also know. So that if the buyer speaks to the seller can be discreet. And it's the truth. They're both moving to something smaller, just not in the same house. Then price counseling, where negotiation is won or lost. So price is our biggest negotiation, but it's not the only thing that plays a role. So we need to guide our sellers and our buyers through the facts. The market determines the value, not the desire. Buyers compare, always. Buyers are so informed today. They all know someone that can draw a line stone for them, that can see on B24. They literally come to negotiations telling me, why am I buying the most expensive house in this state? So I'm not just telling you this, Mr. Seller, your buyer is going to see these statistics too. And if we overprice your property, we don't create negotiation power. It removes negotiation power because now you're at your optimistic price. I had one in Linwood now recently I valued it at 3.6. It's beautiful, it's from a magazine, it's stunning. I understand why they wanted to push the price up a little bit higher. And I said to them, it's fine, we can do 4 million. This is the marketing strategy, but we need to adjust. And they did not want to budge because their house was also very particular in the way that it's not necessarily family friendly for small children, and some shortcomings from that sense. Although it's beautiful, people walk through their fallen love and go, oh, we should make this practical. So they were like, no, we just need more feet through our house. We just need more feet through our house. And they didn't want to budge. Eventually in January he phoned, what does he do? Opens up the mandate after 3 months, and I said to him, now we have over-marketed at your optimistic price in the wrong pricing bracket. So if you want mine now I'm ruthless because I'm going to lose this mandate to the other agent. We need to go under 3.5. If we started at 3.6, we could have gotten 3.6 because we would have had the negotiation power. At 3.6, people come in, everyone wants the property, but now we've spaced it over 4 million, not creating that urgency, and we lost our negotiation power. So to regain the negotiation power, we need to go to 3.5 into the next bracket. Put it in, 2 days later sold. But we lost 100,000 rand and 3 months in the timeline that was actually urgent. So I know it's not always that easy to do this at mandate stage, but when you eventually navigate and do the dance and you get to offer to purchase stage, it's lucky when you can go back and say, remember, I said 3.6. If we overmarket, we go below that. That is where we are now. So then they don't hesitate as much because you prepared them for that scenario.
What helps you most when keeping yourself updated with clients? Do you make it a point to maybe meet them personally, or is it over the phone? And I'm asking this because we had a client recently. It well past the OTP stage. They were about to launch the property, and he stopped the whole process. This is the seller. He halted the whole process and backed out. So in my understanding, overthinker, like maybe he found another agent who gave him a better price or something of that sort. But I didn't gauge that because this was the person I was always talking to, who was always those ones who, when are we signing, how
Did you ask him?
Of what was happening.
Sometimes, like even when I lose a mandate, I'll phone the seller and I will say, I see you decided to go on X agent with dual mandate. You made a very good choice, they're very strong in the area. Please help me better my service. What do you feel like you've done differently to get the mandate? Or what did the other agents that you interviewed do that made you pick them? It's sometimes hard to get an answer out of people, but if they know you're not, because this guy probably thinks you're upset with him, right, for cancelling everything.
Probably, yes.
So phone him and say, I've been in the industry for just under a year. I'm learning so much from this process, and I'm lying awake about this transaction because it doesn't make sense to me how it ended up in this cancellation. What pushed you over the edge to do that? And I mean, isn't he going to pay costs and things? He can't cancel that late.
I believe he has to, but Mr. Matt is currently dealing with it.
It sounds like a little bit of a... You get 2 deals a year that are horror cases. And that give you grey hairs. And when I get them, I go, okay, great, one is off my plate. And then you get the other one and you're like, one is off my plate. My one from last year, April, is maybe going to register now. Do you have those that just...
April last year.
April last year.
And you're still on it. This is February.
I know. It's like a baby.
Tell them, explain to them.
It's like a baby, 9 months. Some of them are just horror stories. And it's not always something you can prevent. We're in the relationship building business, and we're working with people's emotions, and people are carrying a lot of things around with them that we cannot control. And that is how it goes with us. We go, yay, you need to balance that roller coaster the whole time and not take these things personally. If you can learn from it, know how to juggle it next time it comes across your plate, but don't let it make you lie down. Get up, next.
Okay, but what you are saying, this guy, before he signed, he took so him so many time. Give me time, let me think. Give me time, let me think. Eventually, everything was successful, and he over to the attorney. This year, sorry, just all of a sudden, I'm counting. I thought I'm gonna buy a property with the money. Now I'm going bank, I'm going everybody. But obviously, you are aware of it from the beginning.
Yeah, but what I do in a case like that is you say, we've been this far, it's fine, you can cancel, but the commission is claimable and the attorney's fees. So you can cancel, it's going to cost you money.
Yeah, that's what we are busy with.
Yeah,
Because I know it's like that. Honestly, it's just like.
yeah.
Yeah, but we are busy.
And if we can fight for them, we fight for them. I hardly ever, claim.
I've never won. I did one some in the past.
Yes.
With different attorney, but with this one we are using, I was sick. Because remember, litigation attorney is the one
That handles that, and then it ends up costing more. And when the client wants out of a deal, they want out. We saw a last renovation in Pashfontein last year, it was 2.5 million. Small, 180 squares. We had 50 people at the show house sign an offer to purchase on the show evening. The people have been following Big Pond, they love our renovations, and so excited that they're now in the position to buy. They sent me a message that next morning and he said, Marika, I got home and I realized that the house is not a lot bigger than my townhouse. The reason we are moving is because we need more space, and please will you forgive me if I climb out of this contract. I'm rather going to wait for the next Big Pond property. And we went, no problem. Contract cancelled. Because if this is how you feel the day after you bought the property, something's going to happen that you're going to climb out of it. We're going to all end up losing a lot of time and money. We sold it a week later again for full price, and we signed first to finance on those properties, and again in January. So rather recover fast, cash in on the momentum, and move on if someone wants out.
Another question. I have an owner in Pretoria West. I think he's in debt. He doesn't really want to disclose, but I know that by the end of this month, he needs 100,000. That's what he said. He said, Mampo, I don't know how we can do this. So now he wants to drop the price. And he says that for the next weeks, we should drop it as low as we can. So now we are bordering the line where he's going below market value.
What is the market value?
It's a 2-bedroom, so it goes for about 500. Currently listed at 528 because we've sold another 2-bedroom in Wonder Park for 525. So I listed at 528 and we just dropped it to 499.
Okay.
So
And now is the inquiries picking up?
We just dropped it yesterday, so we're just going through.
How many other similar places in the market?
There is on my side. There's about
No, on property 24.
On property 24.
Because if there's 3 in the market for 480, people are rather going to go for that if they go for the 499. So you must always look not just at the statistics of recent sales, but the condition of what a buyer is looking at on property 24. So he's going to see 530, 520, 499, 480, 480, 480. He's going to go for the 3 480s before he goes to that one. So that you tell your seller, and there are complexes like that, where there's like 15 units in the complex for sale. And they all look the same. And I'm like, Mr. Seller, everyone is 500 and below. Why do you think you're going to get 520? Now put new tiles. Great. I'm not going to pay 20,000 rand for new tiles that I don't even like. So you must, where he's positioning himself in today's market online, just go double check that as well. Because he's motivated.
But he's motivated not to sell it below. He says he has to go no matter what. Now he's in that no matter what situation where he's talking about auctions, like it has to go.
Auctions cost money. So try and get him, go look what else is in the market, make sure he's the lowest one, and like market it very hard for 2 weeks. And tell him, and even if he wants to go lower, why don't you want to go lower? Then go lower.
Because going low is going to bring my bottom line. because he's got a set amount in which he needs to pay his debtors and everything else. And he says, this is what I owe, according to his documents as well.
Okay.
So seeing that he's cutting it a little too close to everybody's responsibility.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I would market this as motivated. Market it very hard for 2 weeks. See which buyers you have on the books. Here's a bargain and try and swing it. Because as soon as you have financing in place, you can bridge on it as well, which it sounds like you might need for his 100,000. Okay.
Can I ask you?
yes.
I hear the market determines the value. So I just wanted to know something simple. Who determines the market? If the market determines the value, there's a house in Victoria is the close for maybe that side is more expensive because of the market. Who gives the rules for the market to determine the
Buyer.
buyer?
Because the buyer and supply and demand determines the market. So if we're beginning of 2025 in Garsfontein at 210 properties, buyers are shopping around. They have the luxury of looking at 10 to 20 homes before they buy. January 2026, half the amount of stock. We're literally putting properties in the market and selling them in the first week at the moment. We've got people on our Facebook group, is Axel Wester, saying, I desperately need a 4-bedroom in Garsfontein for 3 to 3.5 million. They're pushing up their pricing that they're willing to pay because there is nothing in the market. So the supply and demand. If there's a lot of properties and a lot to pick from, then it's a buyer's market. If there's nothing, hey?
It's not the area, it's not Victoria East that's expensive. It's the buyers that are buying in Victoria East.
There's definite price differences in areas, but the supply and demand in that area is going to determine your price. So if everything sells in your area for 600,000, and usually there's about 3 or 4 to pick from, and there's a massive increase in supply, now there's 20 to pick from, then your 600,000 rand place is not necessarily going to be, worth, well, it is going to be worth a little bit less. If you then want to sell quickly, you need to go in at 580. If there's only 2 in the market, you're going to probably be able to push it up to 620. So the competition in the market always matters. If you go into an estate and there's nothing, I have a complex now of 16 units. Something comes into the market in that complex, it's gone before it goes to market. Sought after complex, great location, very well managed. And it's expensive. 2.8 million for a 3-bedroom townhouse. It's 200 square townhouse for 2.5 million. When I put it in the market, I said to the sellers, this is a very optimistic price, but I'm going to do it for a week. 4 buys, 2 offers. I was like, okay. So, but the timing was right, and there's no other stock in the market, there's no comparables. So it comes in and buyers grab it because there's a lot of plus points and there's nothing else to pick from and they need to move. There's no supply and the demand goes up. The market determines your value. Our buyers compare and our overprice. And we've done that. The practical side of price counseling. So use a clear, well-prepared comparative market analysis. I always go back and put everything for people on email with the statistics. A lot of people don't even look at it, but you need to give them the numbers so that we also, when you get to negotiation stage with the offer to purchase, you can say, Mr. Seller, remember I said to you, we should go in between this and this price. This is exactly what you got. Go and have a look at what you value properties for. 89% of the time it ends up selling for that, or if it was on the market for too long, it sells for less. And use your current properties as your stories to list your next properties. The 2.5 million rand townhouse, we got an offer on it of 2.3 million, subject to the sale of their property, which has been sold. But they're waiting for the balance of the money, and it's a long story. Then I took another buyer, and it's a cash buyer. So we've signed the first offer, but I haven't told the buyer we've accepted because I'm waiting for my other cash buyer to come and have a look. Now they're making an offer, the cash buyer. My seller phones me at 8 o'clock that evening. They're retiring, they're both in their 70s. He says, listen, Marika, these cash buyers that I want to make an offer, I just want you to know that you must just remember, just because we accepted that 2.3 doesn't mean we're really happy with 2.3. We really want the full price. Now I know they're offering full price, but they haven't signed. And I never negotiate over the phone because anyone can change their mind until I get the paperwork. So I'm like, no, Vessel, I know. He says, did you tell them the other offer is 2.3? I said, they asked what the other offer is, but if a buyer asks me, what is the other offer on the table, I tell them, I'm taking more clients out to this property this evening. Can I tell them what your offer is? And that immediately designates, flattens that. So I said, don't worry, I've got the memo, and let's not lie. The more you get, the more I get. I also want you to get 2.5. And I also want to be able to say that I sold a 2.5 million rand townhouse in less than a week for full price. Don't worry, you're in good hands. He's like, okay. And then the next day I took them this full cash offer. They were so happy. But I don't create the expectation until I have the paperwork. And I know I frustrate my buyers because the next day their wife was in Joburg. I'm like, what time is she back? I need the decision makers at the table. I need to sit down. They wanted to take the mantle place out. There's always. So I start and I go. So here is our special conditions. They can't buy the house if the dog is not allowed in the complex. You need to take the fireplace out. You need to repaint the garage. Then they go, take out the fireplace. These people are being ridiculous. And I'm like, okay, well, let's think about it. And then they page over, and then I put the commission agreement, which gives the price, the commission, and the net. And she goes, full offer. We'll take that mantelpiece out tomorrow. No problem. So you also kind of like balance the good and the bad news with each other. If I have a low offer or an offer that's not great, I go in and I say, I have an offer of 2.2 million. And then I just keep quiet. And then they go, what do we get in our pocket? No, that's what you get in your pocket. The offer is for 2.3. Then it's a bit of relief. So there's small little things you can do to just help them navigate through those big emotions. So have your CMA so that you can go back to it and say, remember we're the most expensive place. Remember this is what we're competing with. Explain your buyer's behavior at different price points, what that looks like, what they have to choose from, and then what happens 30, 60, 90 days in the market. Because we all know that inquiries go like that, and then your chances go like this to get your listing price. At 90 days, Mr. Seller, you're going to take the property out of the market. I'm checking with sellers. I'm like, it should not take me 90 days to sell the property. They don't even need to give me a 90-day mandate. We're pricing it right. I'm selling this for you in 2 to 4 weeks. My average time in the market is not more than 6 weeks. If it takes me more than 6 weeks, our strategy is wrong. It's wrong. We do not need to take more than 6 weeks. And explain the stigma around price reductions. Because as soon as you start reducing, it says price reduced. As soon as you put 3 agents on, you're looking desperate. Sellers don't know how B24 works and that listings get crude. Look here, Mr. Seller. You click and it says, look at all these agents on your property. Know what your advertising online looks like. And that the price reduction conversation for me is crucial, what it looks like at listing stage. Set the expectation. This is where we're going in, this is what we expect. If we're not getting this, this is where we're going. If we're not getting this, this is where we're going. 6 weeks, we need to be sold and you need to be packing for Cape Town or wherever it is. Although people are moving back from Cape Town, as you see, the segregation is going down. Okay, so what you want versus what the market is willing to pay is often not the same thing. So each viewing is data. Each objection is feedback. And to me, this is one of the most important things because even though I then just get 4 people through your property, every single buyer that I take through, I just want to speak to this. I ask them, I ask them, what do you think of the price? No, this is not a house. Okay, but you've seen a lot of properties now. If you had to make an offer on it, what do you think is a fair price? Oh, I think 1.9. The next buyer says 1.8. The next buyer says 1.7. The next buyer says 1.8. We listed at 2.3. So now you've got 4 opportunities where you can tell your seller, Mr. Seller, the buyer says this is not his house, he doesn't speak to him, but he says 1.8, 1.9. What are you doing? You price counseling. Every single buyer you take through the property is price counseling, and you're missing an opportunity if you're not asking the buyer what you pay for the property. And then you ask the buyers as well. Tell me what you like, I walk out with them. I train my sellers as well. Don't walk out with me. I want to, give me the remote, I walk the buyers to the car. The house that I sold in Linwood, it sold, bond, everything, now the buyers came to measure. And everyone's chatting to each other. It's such a beautiful transaction. And as we walk up, the lady gives me the keys. I'm like, no, you can walk with now. You know, because I don't need to negotiate. But I train my sellers. I need that alone time with the buyers because I need to ask these questions. And then I go back and I say to the seller, okay, this is the price and this is their objections. And they like the house, but they don't like the wooden floors. Now, if you've heard 4 people give a different lower price and 4 people saying the biggest pain point is the carpets or the wooden floors, you know where your objections and your pain points are. Mr. Seller, we need to take into consideration that people don't have or don't want to spend 50,000, 100,000 on changing the floors. So we need to compensate for that in price so that we can meet this objection. And I tell buyers, tell me honestly what you like and don't like about the house. I don't live here. You're not going to offend me. So that you make them comfortable with giving you that information of, you know, actually, that was quite horrible. Make them comfortable to give you those real reasons. A lot of the times you know what it is, but then with your commission negotiation, present your value before your percentage. This guy that listed for 1.75 on the townhouse phoned me and said, what's your commission again, Marika? Because I've sold a property to him before. And I said, Dan, that is not how you start a conversation about one of the biggest assets. My commission is negligible in this conversation. Tell me what you have, what it looks like, what your time frames are. Then I will tell you what I do, what that looks like, and what my input is. And then we talk about commission. That's not where a property conversation starts, because you know people do that. What's your commission? What's your commission? Because I first want to explain to you what it looks like, what I do, and then it's easy for me to negotiate my commission. And then when I do my market analysis, I put in the email for people. 5.5% on exclusive mandate, 6.5% on dual mandate, 7.5% on open mandate. So what happens? I'm either getting an open mandate at a good percentage, or most of the time it helps me close the exclusive mandate, because you're getting a better price at the exclusive mandate. So to me, it's a strategy that's really worked. We've pushed it very hard last year, and we're upping our commission average to 6% instead of 5%. Guys, I'm going to work that out in the bigger picture of things. We did our goal setting for the year, and we worked out how many properties we want to sell, and just the difference between us signing 5% or 6% on all our mandates is 480,000 rand. So you might feel like, oh, it's 5%, it's still good, it's 5%, it's still good. You are going to do a lot less work for the same money if you can up your value and what you charge to 6%. And back yourself with the knowledge and the power and the authority to comfortably ask for that 6%. Then once our commission is agreed, we do not negotiate it again later. You see how Dallas was, goes into a negotiation going, oh, we'll cut my commission. And I'm like, excuse me? We don't go into a negotiation with in mind how much we will cut our commission. You're going to struggle to cut my commission in the negotiation. Mr. Seller, I've got you an offer in 2 weeks, it's lower than you expected, it is what I valued it for, are you happy with the offer? Talk through everything else if it's a lower offer. Then the commission lasts, then open that and go, 6%, can't we negotiate on that? Why? You said you're happy with everything. I did this, yeah, but you only bought 2 buyers through my property. Would you pay me more for 3 months and you had to get your house ready the whole time and I brought 30 people? Would you pay me more then? No. You pay me for doing this well, doing it in the expected time frame and getting you the closest possible price in this market. And we tend to back off quickly because I don't know how strict Michael is with commission. We good cop, bad cop in our office. If people are pushing on commission, Adele will get up and say, I need to phone my principal. Marika, commission, The other day we got one through, the guy wanted to go lower than 5%. And he said, tell him it's fine, go 4.75%. It's a negligible difference, but it's all it took to get the guy to sign the offer. He just wanted to feel like he's getting discount. No, you know? And I thought, I never thought about doing that. We go 5%, 6%. I never thought of going 4.75%. So think out of the box a little bit and stand your ground. You've worked hard. You know how much other business you do that doesn't work out. So you've earned the 5 and the 6% on this mandate and what you've done. Don't just budge and say, oh no, I'll take less. A buyer qualification and readiness. So before the offer is even written, I want you to remember that negotiation power is directly linked to the buyer's strength and readiness. I had I don't want to say fixer-upper, but the house needed a lot of upgrades in the market last year. It was a little bit too high. It is next to Solomon Mahangu. I had a lot of feet through there, no offers, consistent feedback of lower offers of about 1.5, 1.6. And then a buyer came in December and they made a 1.3 offer. Which I always, if you want to put an offer in writing, I always take it. You never know. Once the seller has the papers in front of them, maybe she'll negotiate, they'll negotiate. As soon as people sign, they are easier to negotiate with because it becomes serious. And then I said to her, have you been pre-qualified? No. We're not going to pre-qualify. So I took them to the house, want to make an offer. Okay, I've got your offer now. Can we pre-qualify you? A bond originator costs you nothing. No, we can pre-qualify once the offer is accepted. And I said to the buyer, you know what, I'm going to take this to my seller. But I want you to know you are not putting me in an empowered position to make this offer work for you. This offer is much lower than asking price. I don't even know if you are going to get a bond at the bank. I can't back this offer by giving my seller peace of mind that the financing is in place. So you're cutting off my hands to negotiate. I'm going to go 1.3 and she's just going to go no. Because now she's to take her property out of the market and to show other offers away that might be higher while you're applying for a bond. That's not in her best interest. I'm going to take it and I'm going to do it, but I'm just telling you, I'm going to put you in a much better position if you can pre-qualify yourself, because the offer is very low. But this offer already is going to upset my seller. The fact that you're not pre-qualified and I can't back your financing, I don't know how many of us get anywhere with this. And you try and guide people, sometimes they just don't want to. Do you think the offer got accepted? No. She went up to 1.45, but the seller said, Mareki, how was I know she's going to get a loan at the bank? Keep on marketing. Sold it for 1.65. That buyer came back in January. Mareki, is the property sold yet? So qualify that buyer, because that buyer is just looking for a bargain and taking chances and wasting time, because they still have time to waste. And somewhere along the line they become serious, but then they've missed a lot of opportunities. And I don't take her out again until she's pre-qualified. You're going to waste each other's time. An unqualified buyer weakens the seller's position and it damages my credibility when I have to. And I'm very transparent with the seller, with an offer like that, because, you know, I'm backing this, I'm bringing this to you. I must be honest with you about what the potential pitfalls are, so that if they happen, you're not upset with me and I kind of predicted the worst case scenarios. So I ask my buyers if they want to go view a property, because you don't want to ask, are you pre-qualified? So for me, a nice way of asking that is, are you buying cash or bond? I'm not assuming you don't have the cash. Are you buying cash or bond? I'm buying bond. Do you have a bond originator? Yes. Which company? No, I can't remember the name. Guys, we've got 3 big bond originators in South Africa. Most people kind of have heard from one of them. If you don't know your bond originator's name, I know you like your pre-qualification. And market to purchase is a space to put your bond originator's name in. And before I go negotiate, I phone the bond originator if it's not my bond originator. Mr. Bond originator, your buyer landed on my table, making an offer for 1.75. Do you have everything? If I send you the offer to purchase tomorrow, can you submit? Sure, Marika, that's weird. They pre-qualify for 1.6. Yes, Marika, that's amazing. They qualify for 2.1. Now I can go to my seller with confidence. I spoke to the bond originator. They say everything as far as we know is in place. I'm worried they are self-employed, but the bond originator's got everything audited statements, so we don't need to be worried in this case. Know what that looks like, because that puts you in a stronger position to motivate your buyer, especially if it's a lower offer. Your pre-approval in place, the transfer and bond costs available. I download from JJR's website and I WhatsApp it, because don't come and tell me afterwards you didn't know you have to pay that. And people don't actually know they always have to pay that. I had a guy, the one that bought the rundown renovated property from me. He said to me, Marika, when you're a first-time buyer, you also don't know you can negotiate on the property. I thought it was like a car. The advertised price is the price you must pay. We do this and we're in this industry, then we don't realize people don't get to do with this every day. So make sure they know they can negotiate. Make sure they know. People say I'm so stupid questions. I'm a first-time buyer. I love first-time buyers because I can guide you through those questions and I can tell you which way and what to go research and how to put yourself in that position. I'm buying cash. Cash. A lot of the time being subject to property. So, okay, Mr. Seller, if you find cash, is it coming from an investment? Do we need to give notice to get the money, just so that I know what dates to put in the offer to purchase? You see, nice, subtle, flowy ways of asking these things and getting the financial information, not where's the money coming from. Do we need to give, no, we don't need to give notice, it's coming from the sale of my property. Okay, have you signed an offer? Yes, the bond is in place, it's registering next week. Now I know I can sign subject to successful registration. Now I still need to sell the house. You know, it's subject to is the very different scenarios. Know what that looks like so you know how to position and motivate that offer to your seller. What is your desired occupation date? And that is a nice one because it can really help to navigate your offer, because that's usually one of people's biggest pain points and biggest worries is, when do I move out? When does this one move in? And does the buyer have an emotional readiness to commit? So what I like to do, if I take buyers out, is I let them have a little bit of a look. I'll walk them through the property and show out the extras. And then I say, I'm going to stand here outside. If there's anything you need to know, please let me know. But take your time and walk through the property again.
Buy themselves.
Yes, and then I stand back. Because a buyer that's not interested goes, oh no, we've seen everything we want to see, thanks. Let's walk out. A buyer that is interested said, the husband and the wife want to talk. Or, you know, the first time they walk through the property, they orientate themselves. And agents hover. I realize that now, looking at properties with my friend. And I said to the agent, do you mind if Louisa and I walk through the property again? Yes, no problem. And she walks behind us, like, I'm going to steal something. And I was like, you know, I want to look at certain things and say certain things to her. Did you see this? And did you see? You don't want to say everything that you want to say to your husband in front of the agent. And if I stand back and they go, yes, please, can we have another look? No, take your time. I'm not in a hurry. I'm here if you have questions. And then you can go and they start putting in furniture and asking questions and making the right noises. Objections are buying signs. So if they take the house apart and they're like, what about this? This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. It means they like the property. If they didn't like the property, they wouldn't be concerned about those things. So give your buyer the space to do that and read how he reacts when you say, take your time.
But in a situation whereby the owner of the property are not comfortable for the buyers to work in.
Yeah. But it depends how big the property is. It depends, you know. So sometimes you can stand back a little bit, sometimes you can't. So also use your discretion. If you have to walk with them, I try and give them a little bit of space. Or afterwards ask them what you think, and you know, if you want to come and have another look. But do those things in between that gives you an indication of whether they like it or not, because then you know, if you ask, okay, the property is 1.5, what do you think of the price? We really don't think this is worth more than 1.2. You know what? Let's put the 1.2 in writing and see what the seller says. Because now you know your seller's desperate. Maybe there is some negotiation space. 1.2 is really low. Okay, let's sign. Because then you can get people to sign, because they maybe think they're going in too low, but you know they're going in reasonably. So always ask them, and if they then say a price, say, would you want to try and put that in writing? So you can read the situation and how much they actually do like the property. And when they start putting in their furniture, the emotional readiness of going, this is going to be my room, this is where the couch is going to go. When people start showing those signs, you know they really like it. So with your buyer qualification is not just financial, you must look at their ability, the intent, the emotional commitment, and their urgency. If you walk in and you tell them, the other thing I like to ask is, how many properties have you seen? Oh, we've looked at 36 properties. And I say, 36 properties. Let's say it's a husband and a wife. Then you say, which one of you two likes to cook? You like to cook in the evening. Okay, tonight when you go home, you're going to cook, you're going to pour a glass of wine, you're going to take a paper and you're going to write a non-negotiable list for me. Because the buyer that has looked at 36 properties is confused and he doesn't know what he wants. So go back to the drawing board, go decide what your non-negotiables are, and then only look at those properties. If people say 5, I've looked at 5 properties, I've looked at 6 properties, wonderful, the average buyer looks at 8 properties before they buy. I don't know where I got that stat from, but I think it's kind of accurate.
8 properties.
Before they buy. And go and have a look at your buyers. I'll ask them how many properties they looked at. Most people don't look at 20 properties before they buy. But also me telling my buyer that's looked at 6 properties, the average person looks at 8 properties before we buy and goes, oh yeah, I'm probably ready to make a decision. You know? And no, it doesn't take 20 property views to decide. I've got a buyer like that that's been on my books for 3 months. Comes and looks at my properties and then he comes and tells me a long story about what's wrong with the property. And I'm like, Joe, please don't make a non-negotiable list. Inquire on a property now again. I'm like, this is next to Atterbury's, next to a busy road. Yeah, I'll come and have a look, but I hope the noise is not too bad. I'm like, it is. It's worse than the other property you saw. I try and talk him out of units, but he wants to look at everything. Some people don't know what they want.
Sure.
Okay, then look for your objections, their buying size, the financial readiness, if they start asking, will the seller negotiate? And upon originator's got everything, then they're making all the right noises. If they've looked at more, quite a few properties in a short time frame, that emotional attachments, questions about the process, how it works, how much it's going to cost. Any interest is questions, objections, taking things apart, worries. People that don't like the property walk in and go, okay, thank you, this is nice, bye. Also don't assume they don't like the property because some people are just introverts. And I've had people like that walk out and go, okay, making a full offer, and then you go, really? Don't you have questions? No, I'm happy. Okay. So, your powerful qualifying questions after viewing is if you had to make an offer, how much would you ask? We chatted about that. Also ask what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and look out for the red flags, like someone that has seen 36 properties. I tell them in a light-hearted way. I think it was withdraw from the market. Go back to the drawing board, really decide what you want, and then come back. Because at the moment you're just confusing yourself. People that are shopping above budget, and if you're shopping 500, 300,000 above your budget, because they'll go and have a look at a 3.7 million property and go, we want to make an offer, but we only qualify for 2.5. Then I ask them, okay, but why are you looking at 2.8 properties? I ask people. No, because sometimes people negotiate and they're like, shopping your budget. You also don't want to buy at the very top of what you can afford. If the interest rate goes up, you're in trouble. So be responsible about the decision because you're going to fall in love with the wrong house at 2.7 that you can't afford. People that avoid the financial questions, that don't want to pre-qualify, that don't want to send their documents, those are red flags for me, and you can see them. An agent made a buyer wanted to make a offer on one of my, it's like a flat in Lehman. The seller just received another offer. Now she pops up with this offer. And now we're jumping because she's about to accept this. So I put an escape clause for her in her other agent's offer so that she can still consider my offer as a backup. And then this buyer is in Mexico. We can't sign in our timeline. So I'm like, is he pre-qualified? She's like, yeah, here's the pre-qualification. I don't even think the other agent opened the documentation. I opened the documentation. It's an approval in principle from F&B in the same complex 3 months ago for 100,000 and less. I said to her, you said he's pre-qualified. Why does he have approval in principle in this complex and did he not get that unit? And did you see that the bank didn't give him a 1.1 loan? They gave him a 950 loan. What am I doing? Am I stalling my seller on a very good 1.2 offer for someone who can't send the right? I can get very like Sherlock Holmesy in those situations. I'm going to go Google the guy, put him into ChatGPT, I'm going to cross-reference it for me, is he real? I go check that validity. Because otherwise I'm going to waste my time holding something back for a year when I don't have something solid here. We've got all those tools today to double check this information. Okay, paperwork and preparation. This is my favorite new line. Paperwork is not admin, it's leverage. If you have an offer and someone makes an offer and you say, oh, the seller hasn't sent me the rates account. No, I don't have the complex rules, I don't know if they allow pets. Now you're delaying your negotiation. Tonight they're looking at another property. Waiting 2 days for your seller to sign. Get these things in your list. And I tell my sellers why. I say, I know this is admin, but now I'm going to tell them, help me because it's my leverage. Tomorrow a buyer walks in, he falls in love. If I can't send him the rates, the complex rules, the building plans, he falls in love with another property the next day. So before we go to market, you need to make sure I have all of this. I have everything on Google Drive, on my phone. As I take buyers through and they ask for X, Y, Z, I stand there, I send it to them immediately so that I don't forget. Be organized with your paperwork. Agents are not good with paperwork. It's one of your biggest tools because if you can be fast with your paperwork, if it's an open mandate, even more so, you are going to be the one that signs at the end of the day. And you know what these things are. Rates, utilities, building plans, complex rules. I found an agent the other day, I said, I want to bring my buyer, please send me the levy, and we just want to look at the rules to make sure the pets are fine. Right, you know I don't work like that. Yes. No wonder you have average amounts of sales each year because your readiness and your leverage with your paperwork makes you agile. So have it ready. And your seller disclosure. I had a mandate where I was the second agent on the mandate. I sold the place to the lady, had an offer, fell through, put me on. Now I already have all the information and the photos and that's how I list because I'm in competition, so I have urgency, but I don't get the seller disclosure from her. I don't get the seller disclosure. I get an offer, I'm like, I need the seller disclosure before I can send the offer. Sign everything. She comes back, she writes in things that are not included in the sale, all the blinds in the house. Now I'm like, you should have told me that when I listed your property. Here the price is too low. Now I have to up my price and tell my buyer the blinds are not included. So then it became 3 days worth of negotiation where I had to drive up and down for signatures, take photos of blinds because it was front blinds and back blinds. And I said to my assistant, do you see why I'm so particular with how offer to purchase gets prepped before it gets sent? All these things must go in. My attorney's details are in. She doesn't fill it in. I'm like, what happens? It comes back from the buyer. We left it open, so they put their attorney's details in. Now I have to go back to him and tell him, the attorney's not negotiable. This is who it is. Now I've opened it up as a negotiation point. You see how important your paperwork is. I prepped the whole offer to purchase. Buyer info, seller info, price, because I get your pickups. I can fill everything in. Attorney's details, occupation, I talk them through everything beforehand. I complete it, they must just sign it. Because as soon as you fiddle with it and you miss signatures and you write in extra things, I have to negotiate those little things. And lions and cats make properties fall through the market. Because if you don't find out beforehand if the cat is allowable, the blinds are going to stay, that timeline of 3 days up and down, your deal goes cold. Okay, preparing to present the offer. So before you sit with the seller, you prepare strategically, prepare to present, and I like to always still role play. I still check things with my other agents and talk them through it because we all think about things differently. And we'll go, oh, you can say this and this and this, so that you're ready for that in your mindset. Ask your buyer, have they made other offers on properties? If it didn't work out, why didn't it work out? How did the buyer arrive at the offer price, especially if it's lower? Because then I can go to my seller. Mr. Seller, we are getting a 530 offer on a 650 place. The buyer knows the complex, she's rented there before, and she knows that in comparison to the other units, this place is really run down. It's still got the original finishes. 60 squares, it's average renovation of 100,000. If she spends 100,000 after paying 600, she puts her out of the market and she overcapitalizes. So because we need so many upgrades on your property, she's made an offer that's 530, so she can still spend 100. Make it make sense for your seller. You don't just take a lower offer, you say, they need to replace all the carpets. All the buyers are going to have a problem with the carpet. It's next to the main road. All the buyers are going to have a problem with the noise from the main road. And ask your buyer what the objections are and why they're making a lower offer. Be comparing it to this and this and this property. Mr. Seller, they're making a lower offer because the other value in the market is there. They will rather go buy that. So motivate it from, get the information from your buyer to motivate your seller. Identify likely negotiation tactics and counter tactics, like if you know occupation, date is a big thing, know what it looks like beforehand. Mr. Seller, we're making occupation the 1st of April because my buyer needs to give notice. They're staying in an Airbnb, they just came back from overseas. Because that negotiation point maybe of timeline might outweigh price. The more you understand the buyer, the better you can protect your seller and the more you can accurately predict the outcome. So, if the seller counters, your goal is to respond to the buyer with a high likelihood of knowing how that response will land. So it's not just about price, it's about all the different pain points. So our rules of presentation structure the conversation. So reframe the market reality, review the days on the market, position the offer within the CMA, humanize the buyer, and motivate the financial strengths. It's beautiful when you get those deals with the buyer and the seller just like really match well, because that makes sense. You've got this like super analytical, everything is to the point seller, and then you've got the super analytical, everything to the point buyer, and their personalities just kind of like align. And people like selling their homes to someone that they are happy is going to continue the memories in the house. My mom always said, you sell Flappy that was buried under the tree. You're selling the puppy that they had and grew up in this house and that died and that you buried under the tree. You're never just selling walls. You're selling the memories, and people like to know that the walls are going to people that are making those memories again. It's a family with 3 kids that have already picked their rooms. They're going to go to the school. Our kids went to that school. It's so close. It's nice they can walk, Put it, they want to feel the emotion of someone is going to take over that and be happy there, unless it's just a new business. Explain every material term so that your purchase price, deposit, bond conditions. What I like to do, especially if it's an exclusive mandate, I prep my offer to purchase just after I get mandated, and I email a copy to the seller. I have a very long offer to purchase. And I tell them, especially if it's an analytical person, here's a copy of the offer to purchase so long so you can read through it. So then when I get to offer stage, the seller already has some questions about the offer to purchase. He's prepared for the paperwork, and he's happy to sign and see whether the details fit in. chats about your occupation, your special conditions, inclusions, exclusions, and the time frame for acceptance. I always say 48 hours, you know you want to sell the house. Like, you know, no need to think about it for a week. Exclusive mandate, I'm very agile. And you get to the seller and they're like, Brady, this is ridiculous. Why do I only have until tonight to think about it? Mr. Seller, if this was an exclusive mandate, we would have the luxury, but you now have competition against agents, not against buyers. And as soon as I put my offer on the table, now the other agent knows what it is, and I need to look out for my buyer. I'm not running an auction. I can't leave his offer here just to up our possible offers. So the buyer and I decided on a date, 6 o'clock tonight, we knew you are available. So think about it, chat to your wife, and let me know if I'm going to pick it up this evening. Because that is the reality of it. I can't give you 3 days to think about it and use the offer to up someone else's offer. Clarity reduces fear. I ask sellers, especially lower offers, or depending on what that negotiation looks like, what is your change of life price? Which is usually met with a little bit of, what do you mean regular change of life price? I said, once you accept an offer on your property, you can pack, your daughter can go to a flat where she's going to varsity, your mom can go to the retirement village, you can get divorced, you can finish off all these things that are stressing you out, whatever those pain points are. What is that change of life price? We're in the market for 2.5, but at 2.3, all these other things go away. Will you sign 2.3 to change your life? As soon as we sign an offer, it's your change of life price. And it makes them think about that emotionally. Okay, you're right, I'm willing to make this end. I don't want to pay it anymore. I don't want more people through my house. So counter offers and bridging that gap. So counter offers are where preparation either pays off or exposes gaps. No blinds in your seller disclosure. Gap. You could have lost that deal just because now people are fighting about blinds. Your goal is not to win, it is to keep both parties engaged with a delicate timeline. Have a feel for when you can push and when you must not apply pressure, and also not give people too much time to think about it. So, never let your seller reject immediately. Help him navigate those emotions. Counter quickly. Keep that momentum going and always put it in writing. And silence is golden. It can be a very powerful tool. Go put the terms down and then keep quiet. If you just keep quiet, the other person will talk. He will. So say what you need to say and then keep quiet. Just a little insert from at the listing stage is I also like to, when I negotiate the mandate, once I'm done with everything, I ask my sellers, what are you worried about throughout this process? No, what do you mean worried? I'm like, what is the biggest pain point for you that stresses you out about selling your house? That I'm not going to get my price, that I'm not going to sell it by this date. Ask them what their pain point is, and then I say, it's important for me to know that, because then I know I must prioritize it throughout the process for you. And then it's easy for you to make sure you meet that, and when you meet that, you take a lot of their stress away, and you build that trust in them. So for buyers, if you're taking an offer, this is my favorite script, and I think it's so important because we mustn't assume buyers know this. Mr. Buyer, 3 ways to negotiate a transaction. Number 1, we can make a full offer and make a low offer and run the risk of the seller rejecting it or countering back at full price to compensate for your low offer. Which is, we know that happens because you just upset the seller. Number 2, you can make an offer closer to the asking price and be less flexible if there's a counter offer. Or number 3, if you really want this house and you're concerned that another buyer might snatch it up, make a full price offer and give the seller what they want. It's your choice. How would you like me to negotiate the offer? Guide them. How would you like me to negotiate the offer? I had a 2.3. I had cash buyers. I said, have you thought about an offer amount? I have got an offer on the table, but it is subject to, and we haven't accepted it yet. I said to my sellers, we want to give you a chance because you have a less expensive offer to come and have a look. Not a lower offer, not a, I said you're in a better position because you are not subject to. So immediately they felt the competition and they're like, no, full price. So it's a very subtle thing that happens that you can get your buyers up. Create that doubt. Do you want to lose this house over? What's the other offer? What I can tell you is you need to go higher if you really want this house. But I don't run an auction. And then get them up so that you get a decent offer. If it comes back and it counter offers, and you're quibbling about 100,000 rand or 50,000 rand, and they're like, we didn't want to go anything over 2 million. Go work out their monthly repayments for them on the lower amount that they offered and on the counter amount. Because a lot of the times it's like 300, 500, 700 rand. Do you want to lose your dream house? I know 100,000 rand sounds like a lot, but 700 rand is, you're not going to have takeaways this month, you know, but you're going to live in the house that you really want. So put that monthly payment into perspective for them.
Okay, let me ask you a question. A situation whereby, as a prospective buyer, here is a seller who's an old woman, buyer requesting for a lot of documents in terms of lease agreement for all the tenants who lives in the proper house, salary document. But this old woman, she was once an estate agent. So she's gotten an advice to say you are not allowed to release this agreement to the buyer because of
The tenant must agree. If the tenant agrees, you can give the lease agreement.
Oh, yes, because I know you are buying. And you need to get so many documents, request for so many documents from the agent or the seller to ensure your decision and then study if you are going ahead or not. What do you do in the sort of case like that?
You should buy a qualifier.
Because everything
Who's the bond originator?
I saw from the FMB and I saw the thread of the email that truly she did qualify. Even more than the asking price. But the seller was only doing the cost.
So is your buyer an investor? Am I hearing correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so the buyers are emotional. Okay. So none of these things that your buyer is asking is out of the ordinary. He's an investor. You want the lease agreement, you want all those things. And what you can do, I have a rental agent that I refer my properties to. What she does, she blanks out the personal information in the rental agreement. She just blacks it out. So no full names, no ID numbers, but you can still see there's a rental agreement in place. You can still see the terms and the amounts and all of that.
I mean, the seller is the difficult one.
Why is she selling?
She's old. She want to sell. Yet she don't want to release documents.
Is she German? She sounds German. Is she?
Is she?
German ladies can be very difficult. I was actually just joking.
Just
But it's sometimes it's difficult because we need
very
to
difficult.
remember, does she live in the place?
She doesn't. But,
How long has she had it?
She has been with the husband for a very long time. She's old.
That's the thing. So the old people are emotionally attached. And maybe she bought it for their house.
No,
You know, this is such an interesting thing. This house in Limburg that was 4 million and we sold for 3.5. Brought the price down, and I walked out with the lady the one day, and I said to her, Annelie, where are you going? Because up until now, you guys haven't been able to tell me where you're moving to when you sell your house. And she says, Marika, we're not sure yet. I said, do you know, you're going to think I'm crazy, but do you know that your house moves when you're not ready to let it go? And I need you to go home tonight to your husband, and you guys need to chat about, because they have a beautiful house. They have to scale down, and I think there's financial pressure. They don't really want to sell, but they know they have to. It's a very subconscious thing. So I want you to go home and you must chat to Ben tonight about where are you going. I can feel this house is going to be sold very imminently, but it is not going to sell until you are not ready. Your house knows. I have old people that live in properties. I know it sounds weird, but old people that live in properties, we take buyer through buyer through buyer. I had it to wait like that in Roletta. Through that property, the old lady also never leaves. She sits there on the couch, and it's like people feel that energy. They feel it. And I said to her daughter, I phoned, I said, listen, You either need to drop the price and make this more sellable, or you need to make sure your mom knows where she's going, what it looks like, and she's ready. She lived in this house with your dad. She raised you in this house. She's emotionally attached. And until she's ready to let go, your house is not going to sell. And then she got a flat for the mom. That's where she's moving to. And as soon as she made the shift that I'm ready to let go, the house sells. And it's weird. So sometimes you need to, I like to think out of the box with these things. Like you prep people. Your house is in the market and you think you're ready to sell until you get paperwork. It knows you're not ready to sell. You need to make plans, know this is a reality and be ready so that I can sell it. I can't sell it if you're not ready. Uncomfortable conversations we need to have, eh?
Now you have a buyer who really you have a seller who really wants to sell their property, and they have agents as well. You can see their property on the market, but they tell you that even those other agents don't have a mandate. I won't sign a mandate until I get an OTP.
Oh, I hope people work like that. Hey, Mr. Seller, it's always such a letdown for me to hear that the people in my industry work like this. I work according to the code of conduct, and according to that, I'm not allowed to list your property for sale and advertise it without a mandate. So although you think paperwork might be a waste of your time, part of that paperwork is a mandatory seller disclosure that we fall in to protect you. And people that are serious about buying their properties and about hiring someone they are going to know is going to look out for them. Those are the people I want to work with. And it feels to me like you've been ill-advised. I tell them I'm very disappointed to hear my peers work like this. And you're going to phone me a few months down the line crying with problems because the agents you hired were not preventative and did not make sure that they were in the best position in this market. So, let me tell you what. You're going to make the coffee, I'm going to get some cookies. I don't want to list your house because I don't participate in a house where there's 10 agents. If 10 good agents in the area can't sell your property, something else is wrong and they're not telling you what it is. Let's have coffee and chat about it. You don't have to mandate with me. I don't mind. It's fine. I tell them, and a lot of the time I don't even take the listing. And I'll go and I'll sit and I'll have coffee and I'll say, tell me what's the history on the market. Tell me what's the... No, the agents bring buyers but they never give feedback. Not one of them. Feedback, ever. I question those things because that is the standard we should have in this industry. You bring a buyer, you give feedback. If you have a mandate, you sign the papers. And then tell them that this is not how you work. Here's my strategy. You can either do that, it looks desperate, or let's do this. Kick all of them off. Give me 4 weeks. I tell them you don't even have to sign an exclusive mandate. Sign an open mandate with a gentleman's agreement. Give me 4 weeks, we do it this way, and we see how that goes. But if I leave you to just do this without giving you proper advice, sometimes I will talk myself out of the mandate. I'm like, this is not a great strategy. Which of these 6 agents gave you the best service? No, that one. She brought an offer, it didn't go through, she gave feedback all the time, and I said, why do you have 5 other people? Kick them off, get her back to motivate her to selling the property at the right price. She's put a lot of hours in it, and be more strategic. Because obviously this is not working. Is that help?
Very frustrating.
We don't want to be honest and straightforward in our industry. We're desperate for the listing, we're desperate for the sale, and it shows in the way we do business. I had the opportunity to, I considered selling my property a little while ago, and Henny, actually my business partner, convinced me, he's like, Maria, just sell your place. In this market you're going to make such a great profit on it. Guys, I have 8 units in my complex. I'm walking distance from work, not far from school. My location could not be more ideal. I said, some things in life don't have enough zeros. I'm not selling my house. And he said, Mareka, your decisions in life look different if you have R1 million in the bank. And it's the same with sales. Keep your momentum because your decisions in real estate look different when you have sales on board. When you coming to me, this lady with the blind, we had a lower offer, but she was like my 4th or 5th deal for the month. And she was also the smallest one. So when she came back and she's like, no, I'm taking nothing less than 1.2 in my pocket. Now I've got, I think I had 40,000 commission and it needed to be 60. And I just said to him, sorry, I'm not cutting my commission, then we come to offer. So we come to offer 15,000 Rand, risking that the buyer is going to be irritated because now there's lines and a higher price. And he probably is not stupid, he's in finance, he probably knows the 15,000 Rand is about my commission if you put 2 and 2 together. So I risked the whole deal for 15,000 Rand because when you have 4 deals on the board, you go, you know what, you either pay me what I'm worth, I go spend this money on another sale instead of fighting with clients. So keep your momentum because a lot of your confidence and how you make decisions come from that. It looks different when you're not in desperation. And once you have that momentum, then upping your commission from 5 to 6% is easier. Then saying, being straightforward in a mandate about pricing is easier because you're not desperate for the business. So the whole psychology behind how you act looks different. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, we're almost done. Common mistakes agents make. Taking listings out of desperation. We don't have the right motivations. And while I don't disagree that we should list everything because the more you list, the more you are going to sell. So still list them. But be in a position where you get to such good quality listings that you don't have to take those absolute desperate listings. Listing at unrealistic prices. Who are we doing a favor? We're wasting our time, the seller's time, the buyer's time, and a lot of resources. So work hard on the knowledge to back your sales prices. We avoid the hard conversations. Get good at having the difficult conversations. Practice having the good, difficult conversations. Come back to the office and tell your peers, this and this and this happened. What do you think I could do differently? And get other people's perspectives on it. But the harder we have the hard conversations in the beginning, the easier the negotiations become later. Ignoring the motivation, make sure you know what the motivators are for the buyer and the seller. And that was viewing. If I stand and I'm chatting with the seller and the buyer's walking through the property, oh, where's the place that you bought? When are you moving in? Oh no, that is a later stage house, it's still going to take long. There's little things the whole time. Have that conversation, build that rapport, and read between the lines. My biggest thing is please negotiate in writing. I know this is hard. My buyer now that made the 2.3 subject to offer on the 2.5 million townhouse. He's across the road at the greengrocer, and he said, Marika, just check with the sellers actually sent him to me, knowing he wants to buy in the complex. And he said, Marika, just go speak to the sellers first. We don't want to follow all the paperwork and we don't know what they're going to accept the 2.3. Martin, you're making a lower offer. If I phone the seller and I go, well, you accept 2.3, we're not even in the market yet. We haven't even started advertising. She's going to say no. For me to put you in the best position, I'm going to print out all the paperwork for you, I'm going to show you where to sign, and you're going to sign everything for me. Because once she has it in front of her, and she knows, do you want the curtains included? She's got designer curtains in place. Do you want this? What's your timelines look like? Then I can sit and I can go motivate the offer. But I can't motivate it over the phone going 2.3 because it's about a lot more than 2.3. Okay, we'll sign the papers. So make them sign the papers like that. And then the other thing I tell them, especially if it's a lower offer, okay, I'm going to phone the seller and say 2.3. Then they're going to come back and give you a counter offer of 2.5. How do you know I'm speaking the truth? I don't negotiate like that. This is a very big financial decision. I'm going to come back to you if there is a counter offer. I'm going to do it in writing and the seller's going to sign next to it. I will go up nothing over 2.3, Marika. Don't even come with a counter offer. So you see now we're killing two birds with one stone. Number one, I'm telling him I do things properly. I will bring a counter offer in writing. And just the way he responds to it is like, a house is selling for 2.3, I have 2.3 in the past, I can't negotiate out. So now I already know where his negotiation points already lies. But I tell people, I don't do offers verbally. Because you're telling me 2.3, you and your wife chat, see something else. Tomorrow morning when you bring me the paperwork, it's 2.2. Even with sellers, Marika, what is the offer? So the offer is a lot more than price. I can't tell you something over the phone. We sit, we have a conversation. This is a big decision that you and your husband need to make together. We talk about all of that, and then we decide if it's going to work and if the price is going to work. Become strict on it, because you close better if you can do it in person. If you can't do it in person, please never just email an offer to purchase to people. Your people must receive your offer to purchase, and my people are impressed when they receive my offer to purchase. Because even if I email it, I write the whole little thing, print it out. It needs to sign in red ink. Sign clause 1.2. I filled this in, please check it. I write a whole little story like that. Most of the time they do it wrong anyway. But a lot of them appreciate it. And people that have made 2 or 3 offers will phone you and say, wow, Mareka, thank you for the instructions that you sent. You made it so easy to fill in the paperwork. Already you've got the trust of your buyer, showing you do things properly. If I print it and drop it off, I print the instructions, I make it part of the offer to purchase. You don't just give an offer to purchase to someone. You go that little extra mile, because that is the person that's going to refer their neighbor, even if the offer doesn't work out. That is the person that's going to send their sister, and that's going to be your repeat business. All these small things is what builds a long-term relationship. Okay. Buyers are better informed than ever. Sellers still expect COVID prices. Advertised prices don't equal sold prices. Know what the gaps look like? No, we'll just wait for a cash buyer. I don't have that. Mr. Seller, why do you think someone is doing cash? Because they're not clever. Cash buyers are strategic, not desperate. I mean, I don't know about in your market, but in my market, I actually don't do a lot of cash deals at all. I have one now, and it's they're retiring and they worked they were teachers their whole life, so they're on a pension. But other than that, I don't get cash offers, and I don't like cash offers. If it's the bank and there's a bond and you sign, I know the deal is safe. With cash, I'm like, deposit 7 days, otherwise, how must I know my seller can make the arrangements and you're going to pay the money? It's risky if people don't want to pay the cash immediately. And then we chatted about how much the other buyer offered. I never tell the people how much the other buyer offered. It also creates trust because people know you don't play people off against each other. Final takeaways. Negotiation is a process, not an event. Trust closes the mandate and the deal. Your preparation will always be persuasion. The more prepared you are, and we must say, I have a 3-page disclosure on top of the mandatory PPRA disclosure that we
You have another disclosure again, about the approved one, completely area.
It's detailed. What is included, what is excluded? Is the bar chest staying? Does the aircon work? Does the irrigation work? Does all the doors have keys? Everything, because with years you learn what these little pain points are that people fight about. And people get irritated having to fill in that form, and then I tell them, I work differently than the other agents. I am preventative. We don't want to fight afterwards about blinds and aircons and little pain points. So the more prepared I am before I go to market, the more accurately I list, the more informed I am to tell the buyer everything he needs to know, and the less comebacks and surprises you are going to have. No, none of the other agents make me feel this in. I'm like, yeah, they're going to deal with the problems afterwards. I make sure we don't have them. Market knowledge creates authority. Guys, please go look at your statistics in your area. I know numbers are boring. I used to hate numbers. I'm not a very analytical person. But just knowing a few little things makes you sound really clever. Like going last year, 210 properties were in the market, and this year, I say that all the time. Because it's what's going on in my market, and it's a simple P24 stat. No one looks at it. I just go and I look at it and I note it in my brain. Note the pricing gaps, because already then you're doing that little bit extra than other agents are not doing that shows you know what's going on in your market. And then keep your emotions between the lines. I know it is difficult, and I know we are attached to the outcome, but there's a lot of success that comes with taking your emotions out and respecting that this is a massive financial decision for you. This is just a salary for me. It's not going to change my life. I'm going to lick my wings for a day or two, but I don't have to live in it. And if you have that attitude, I really believe that it helps you with that momentum and that trust. So let's negotiate with intention for a win-win, and always stay professional. You guys were amazing. I love all the questions. Any more questions? Yes.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's really insightful. But I want to know, first of all, if you give us this slides.
I've emailed it to Michael.
That's good, thank you. I also want to know, what is the role of emotional intelligence for real estate and negotiation?
What is the rule?
Roles.
The role.
Roles of emotional intelligence.
The role.
Yes. And the negotiation for real estate agents.
You want to know what else you can do.
What does emotional intelligence, how does it help real estate agents
I
in
think it helps a
negotiation?
lot. I went to a training session once. Who was it? I think it was Rolo from Keller Williams that gave it. And it was all about body language. And there was a few things that I just picked up in that session about, and now I realize how I can do certain things subconsciously. If I'm standing and I've got my buyer, the buyer's wife, and the seller, and they're all standing with it, or I can see myself, like I just naturally, because you mimic people. As soon as you mimic people, they find rapport. So I'm very subconsciously tuned in the whole time to building rapport. If people stand with their feet towards the door, it means they're getting ready to leave, you know? Small things like that. I think it's very important because there's a lot of things you can pick up. Apart from just emotional intelligence, a lot of very practical things we can learn that can help us in real estate, because we have people relationship with business. And there's so many tools and things today. So read up a little bit of body language or the topics that interest you. And I like the negotiation tactics and how to always better the negotiation tactics. Because it's an important part of our industry. You can't, we chatted this morning, Adele and I, about how enjoyable it is to sit in an office and have a team. Because there's so many agents these days working from home and thinking it's great to work from home, and seeing an increasing trend of those work from home agencies where the agents lead and they phone me and like, Mareka, I need a team. I need people around me, because real estate agents are people. Mm-hmm. We want to talk, we want to be social, we want to brainstorm, we like people. So get to know people better, and how to read them, and how to understand them. And
that was a great question. Actually, Mrs. Mary stole my question. But I have another one here. Can you please share some strategies on how to build rapport over the phone? Because mostly we are office agents and then there are field agents as well. So how are you able to, because they don't get the satire or the, your sarcasm over the phone. They don't see your facial expressions or your hand gestures. So how do you build
that over the
rapport?
phone? That's a very big question. So one thing I like for lead generators is having a mirror. They used to do that with us in recruitment. Because if you have a mirror at your desk, you're always smiling. You look at yourself and you smile. People can hear when you smile. You can hear when you're smiling over the phone. And I think that we always think with cold calling. Discovery Cold Center people are cold calling. Our insurance are cold calling. I'm not cold calling you with a script. I'm phoning you with a relationship building in mind. And you must keep in mind when you're cold calling that about 1 to 2 out of 100 calls will become a lead. So it takes a lot of calling to do that. And I always think that, I've seen numbers-wise that cold calling doesn't bring listings. Follow-up brings listings. So you're building a relationship, you're going to phone them the first time, and it's not going to be like immediate rapport. If you want to chat to me and you're all for half an hour about your dog and how many times you guys outside a day, I'm going to chat to you, because that's me building rapport. And that's us building a relationship. But now you've got 2 leads, and I always ask when you phone, can I phone you again in 3 or 6 months? No, phone me in a year. Diarize and phone in a year. Diarize and phone in 3 months. Because now you're going to build rapport. None of the agents phone them back. 6 months later you phone and say, hi, I'm just checking in, da, 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 da. And I'll see if I can strike up any kind of conversation. Sure, I see you've been living in your house for 20 years. Are your kids, do they go to Hashington? Anything then people start telling me it's the Doris Matric dance or this or that, and I make notes on my CRM. Because then when you phone them again, you know, how's your mom doing? The last time I chatted to you, you said she just moved in with you and it was quite an adjustment. Little things, because that's the rapport. It's not just business, it's relationship building. I built a relationship like that with the lady across from my office in the complex, and she used to run the laundromat and walk with a little poodle. But I'm in my area, and that's why I'm such a firm believer of your area and your farming area becoming part of the community, because you know, the lady that runs the laundromat lives in this complex. She's the oldest lady in the complex. She knows everyone. She then phones me if anyone wants to sell and know what goes on in the spray cleanup. So a lot of the time I'll cold call around a pain point in the community. Because then if you're phoning the community with another reason and not a cold calling reason, but a coming from value reason, then it's easy to build rapport. I live around the corner. I'm phoning today about X, Y, and Z. As your neighbor, I'm in real estate, but today I'm phoning as your neighbor. You live in the same area, you have the same worries, you have the same crime stats, you have the same. So find with a calling how you can come from value and not just what you want. And I think then if you build that relationship, then that is where your business comes from. That is where your set of mandates comes from. Happiness?
Yes. I don't know if this.
Go.
I wanted to know, how do we stay compliant with the POPIA Act now when we are doing the warm callings to the buyers or sellers rather? Because most of the time we have the question, where did you get my numbers? I never heard of this agency.
How many gold calls do you get a day?
How many do I do? About 60.
No, do you get
Do I get?
Hardtrack, MTN,
Yes.
Platinum Life, okay? So POPIA doesn't say you're not allowed to call people. It's a lot about how you store, how you store the information. Because remember what happened as well is there was a massive data leak. And I'm not an expert on compliance, I'm just giving you a little bit from the agent side. There was a massive data leak from Jigsaw. And all thousands and thousands of people's ID numbers, addresses, everything was leaked. So the compliance side is a lot about how your data is shared and not being allowed to share that data. So how are you storing it in your office? It doesn't say you're not allowed to phone people. You are allowed to phone everyone once. If they say you're not allowed to phone them again, I make a note 3 months later, I get my assistant to phone them. How do all these cold calling companies keep afloat? And do we keep everything afloat if we're not allowed to cold call? So don't make it a limiting belief at all. You are going to get the rude guy that is going to say, where did you get my number? I'm going to phone your principal then. And you phone up on your live listen. Cold call the wrong person today. This guy's going to phone you. I gave him your number. And let him just diffuse it and say, sure, I'm sorry, our agent's new. We'll make a note on our system that she doesn't ring you again. And then I put him on I put a do not call tab. You use proper one, you use. I have a do not call tab, and you unsubscribe them. And then I don't phone them, don't phone them again. But you are allowed to phone people, you are allowed to contact people, and beginning with very, very good feedback. Still, my system cold calls now again. I won't call, but she gets very good feedback. Don't be scared of that. Life is full of rude people.
That's true.
Any question?
Any other questions?
You have the opportunity now. The floor is open. Okay.
How do you know when to walk away from a deal?
How
do you know when to walk away from the deal?
That is such a good question. Give me the scenario. Is there a specific scenario?
No one in mind.
Okay. Well, whenever we can, we don't walk away from a deal. So this 2.5 million rand house that I've been using as an example, where I've got the 2.3 subject to transaction offer on it, that the guy from the grocery store, we signed and everything. His wife signed, and when I picked up the paperwork, he said, Mareka, would you take your commission in cash? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, hard cash. He's like, no, we have a lot of cash in the shop. And even if the seller is willing, I can pay a portion of the purchase price in cash. And I said, okay, let me chat to my business partner and the seller. I know am I right if I say you want to pay less in transfer fees and that is why you want to do it that way? Yes, that is exactly. I wanted to transfer for 2 million, but I'll still pay 2.3. I just back out when that happens. I'm like, I'll speak to my business partner and I'll speak to my seller. Let me just process this because my seller sister is doing the transaction and she is an attorney. Okay. So in those situations, I can be very, very weary because immediately what he's doing is he's putting me in a position where I can lose my license, where my seller can lose trust in me, and if I say the wrong thing, I can very easily implicate myself. And I had to go back to him for signatures or something, and I said to him, I thought about what you said and I understand why you asked it, but I think we're going in with a lower offer and I wouldn't put anything funny on the table to make the sellers doubt the deal in any kind of way. But the way I handled it was me kind of subtly also walking away from the deal, because I know I had a buyer with a subject to transaction where they had to extend the money being paid twice, so subject to is not in place. I also asked for the attorney on the subject to transactions details 3 times and he didn't send it to me. So I can't verify the validity of the transaction he's got on his property. Now he wants to give me cash in hand. And I was just like, then I started very quickly moving away. Like I said to the sellers, 3 days in the market, 2.3. Let's sign, but let's just delay acceptance and see if we can't get anything else on the table. And thank goodness I got the full cash offer that same day. And we said to him, we'll give him an answer now. So I have to phone him now and say, I'm sorry, but I just subtly backed out of the situation because as soon as I start feeling uncomfortable and like we're doing things in a way, I don't want to lose my license. If I take cash, if I do business without my business partner knowing, if I do unlawful business in any kind of way and the buyer, the seller, or my business partner questions me, then I'm going to work in a restaurant.
I also had a similar case like that for non-property. The guy wants to offer 3.5 million cash. He won't say he's going to bring like this.
You know how much fines and how much trouble you can get into that. And you have agents that operate in this grey area and do things. And if you come to me, I'm going to tell you, tomorrow the buyer and that seller starts fighting about something random and this goes to the PPRA. Let's see how that works out for you in terms of your license and in terms of fines. It's not a position you want to be in. If I can, like in my team, as cold callers, because that's the best way. So my sister started in the English, she's cold calls for me. Because if you're making 60 calls a day for a year, you're already doing 95% more than the average other agent. So just by doing the more hours. But what I also want to ask is, how did you get to 60 calls a day?
It's the standard for the office.
Is that the standard for your office? Okay. Do you get to them?
On a good day, yes.
Okay. So the strategy is maybe not working, but it does need a little bit of patience. And I saw this last year with myself and with Adele. And I actually went to go see Coach Lady Grassi, and I said to her, I am so frustrated because I am doing all the right things. I'm showing up, I'm doing my best. The rest is not up to me. I don't control the buyers and the sellers and the emotions, but you can only get up every day and make 60 calls and this and not be attached to the outcome for so long until you start questioning everything and thinking what's going on.
And she said, why do you think it needs to be different? Why are you dissatisfied that you are not getting your results fast enough when you know you are doing the right thing? Get up and go back to an attitude of gratitude, where if you know you're getting up, you're doing your best, and you consistently do that, whether the outcome is what you'd like to be or not to be, if you accept that outcome with gratitude, then maybe that will change. And I actually get goosebumps, because then I stood back and I was like, was everything always okay? Yes, it was. Will everything always be okay? Yes, it will be. And maybe not getting those results now. We have done a lot this year. Let's look back. Let's have grace. There is consistency. I am grateful for what I have, what it looks like, what we thought. December, guys, this was in November. December, I worked from morning to 10 o'clock at night until that 21st, that Saturday, that last Saturday in December.
Wow.
I wasn't going to go on holiday. I was so tired. He phoned me and he's like, I reckon they should be going away on the 4th of December. We also launched a big private property beginning of December. I said, no, whereas I'm going away in December. December are my best months. He said, okay, but then next year, you're planning now for a short holiday in September or October, because we can't work this hard this late in the year and still have energy. So we've learned from last year. But that gratitude immediately, just that change in our mindset and that letting go of the frustration and being grateful, helped me to let go of a lot. So being that busy until that late in December, I then went away for 3 weeks, switched my brain off, got back on that first Tuesday of the month. But now I already started lining up my inquiries and. That first Tuesday that we got back after New Year, I was booked from 8 o'clock in the morning until the evening. It felt like I never even left. I've never started a January with the momentum that I started this year with. And I did 5 OTPs, I'm still negotiating 2. I'm like, is it February yet? I think that mind shift of our attachment to wanting things to be different the whole time and being dissatisfied can hold us back. Because if you're making 60 calls a day, there's nothing wrong with your strategy. And I saw myself go through this and I saw Adele go through this, because she's also getting that momentum now. Did you want to go question, what must be different? What am I doing wrong? No, you must just be patient. If there's something I know in this industry is if you sit on your bum and you call every day, the business will come to you. And you're not bad at cold calling. You're just learning a lot of things, and the only way you're going to learn and get better is with more hours and more hours and more hours. And you've got a natural way with people, I can pick that up, but a natural way of holding rapport. Don't question your good qualities because the results are coming fast enough. Just be a little patient with them. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Happiness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm sure we learned from it, right?
Most definitely.